Thank you so much, Christina Konya, for really uh, having me on board. Yes, you pronounced Owinyi correctly. And yes, that is how we pronounce Owinyi. And I'm really greatly honored to be here as a miracle woman. I cannot believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed leaders of all nations, and distinguished guests gathered here today, I'm truly humbled by the honor bestowed upon me by Professor Caroline Makaka, a quick recovery professor, and Dr. Winfred Gitonga, my own from Kenya, by appointing me as the Loani chairperson of my great nation, Kenya. And inspired by the collective wisdom and courage that fills this room, I have been listening to the story since yesterday, and oh my God, I'm amazed. I am reminded of a passage from the book of Esther, which says, "Perhaps you were born for such a time as this." It resonates deeply within me, echoing the profound belief that our lives, our actions, are not merely by chance, but by divine appointment. Growing up, I always believed that only rich people could speak and be heard. However, education, religion, and connecting with people from different areas has made me to realize that God can use anyone to make a difference in the world. Despite the challenges that I went through, or rather I have gone through as a person since I was a child. For instance, I remember this time when we were growing up, when I was in grade 4. I remember very well when my parents took us to a boarding school, me and my elder sister Damaris. And this boarding school was quite far away from home, a distance that took us a drive of a whole day to get to school. And because we were quite a number of people from my region that were learning in that particular school, some of our family friends used to come to ride with us. So for us to manage to wake up very early and start our journey, they came to our home the previous night for a sleepover so that we can wake up at 5 and travel together to school. And so I remember one instance where one of my friends, so to say, in quotes, because from that day, whatever she did really pained me and changed the way I saw things, changed my character, changed the way I reacted to issues, and so on and so forth. Now, listen to what this girl did. When she came to our home, of course, we usually gave them a room to sleep, and we spread the beds very nicely. And you know what? The mattresses that we slept on, my mother used to use our old clothes to sew them together and then put a nice manila sack to cover them nicely. And then she made very nice mattresses out of that. For us, because that is how we grew up, we did not see any challenge with that. We actually appreciated the fact that we were sleeping on mattresses, because we used to hear of stories where our neighbors used to sleep on what are they called, the skins for cows, and that was it. Or mats without anything, that was it. At least we used to feel like we are okay because We were sleeping on something soft. And you know what happened? When we went to school, the whole of that week, the children in my class, the children around the school were just talking about my home, the way we are poor, because of the way this girl brought out the story. She went telling people the way, as much as my father has a car, at home we are very poor because we sleep on tattered mattresses. Our mattresses are made up of torn clothes. And, you know, she really painted us really poor. Of course, I cannot say we were rich, despite the fact that my mother and my father were teachers, high school and elementary, respectively. My mother and my father were basically like the light in their homes, each one of them. My father was like the only highly educated person in their home, my mother the same. And so their siblings, together with their families and children, they all relied on them. And so we were not the only ones that our parents provided for. And we appreciated the fact that our aunts and uncles loved us. They visited us. Our cousins loved our home. At one time, we were more than 20 people in our house because our cousins had come to live with us for a while. And some of them were even schooling from our home. And you can imagine the way my parents were really communal and the way they wanted to help as many people as they could. But here, we are being painted like we are very poor. That really demoralized me. That killed my spirit as a child when I was growing up. And it made me spend a lot of time in the shrine because the school that I schooled was a Catholic school. And we used to go to the shrine to do our prayers all the time. So I spent most of the time in the shrine praying, asking God to change the situation in our home, to help me to become a somebody in future, to help my parents stop being poor. And I remember one time I even did not go for meals, some meals. I didn't go for dinner. I could forego after the common prayers we used to have with other children at the shrine. The moment people ran to go to the dining hall to eat, I remained there in the shrine, crying to God, praying to God, asking God why we are this poor, that people can even laugh at us. However, that aside, I was determined to change the story of my family. And I thought the only way I can change the story of my family is by working hard in school, trying my best to be the best in my school, in my class. Along the way, I learned to be courageous and resilient. And my life transformed in ways I never imagined, like being a global figure. This is a miracle in itself. Now I see the speechless in my country. I see the speechless in my home, in the world, rising up and being heard against all odds. I am committed to empower everyone that accepts to walk the path with me. My challenges did not just stop at childhood. As I grew up, I have faced a lot of rejection. I have faced a lot of competition. I have faced a lot of hatred from my colleagues, from people I called friends, sometimes from family. My journey to this moment, to speaking here as one of the miracle women, recognized by leaders of all nations international began with a vision not born out of personal ambition, but from a place of compassion and a relentless drive to see transformation in my beloved country, Kenya, through the power of education. And so I started a movement. Education for Sustainable Development is not just an initiative, it is a movement, a calling I felt deep within my soul. It was about planting seeds of knowledge, nurturing them with care and commitment, and watching in awe as they grew into strong trees, providing shelter and sustenance to many. This movement sought not only to enlighten minds, but to empower hearts and hands, creating a generation of leaders, innovators, and change makers. This started in 2016 when I met educators from Israel who came to build our capacity when I was working as a national learning facilitator under the Ministry of Education at an institution known as KEMI. Well, what the Israelites taught me opened my eyes because I realized that limitation is in the mind, that I can do anything. Anybody can do anything. Anyone can become a transformer. Anyone can transform the world. Our journey was not without its trials. Like the Israelites in the wilderness, we faced our share of challenges, doubts. People doubted me. We had scarce resources. There was opposition that we saw like giants everywhere. Yet armed with faith, as small as a mustard seed, we pressed forward, believing in the promise of a land flowing with milk and honey, a future where every child, every woman, every man in Kenya would have the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive. As I started talking about education for sustainable development, I thought it was going to be something small, but by and by, it grew. When UNESCO through NATCOM recognized me, recognized my potential and purpose to have me facilitate learning for almost all and every person that is in the education sector. I facilitated learning for professors even before I became a doctor. I learned with vice chancellors, their deputies, deans of universities, deans of technical training institutions, teacher training institutions, high schools, elementary schools, child care centers. I trained almost all the policymakers in the country on education for sustainable development. And taking advantage of the space that God had placed me in education, I was able to go around learning institutions and talking about sustainability, which I did with a lot of passion. And through my institution where I was working, KEMI, we established model centers across the country that have now spread their wings to spread the message of sustainability to their neighboring institutions. And so spreading the idea of education for sustainable development in all education centers and beyond in Kenya. As we talk at the moment, I am of course in Canada, but I'm still driving ESD from where I am virtually by conducting learning sessions on Education for Sustainable Development every Sunday for more than 2 hours in 2 separate programs for economic sustainability and general knowledge on education for sustainability, education for sustainable development, every evening, Kenyan time, and every daytime, like from 11, we usually start from 11, I go through to 2:30 p.m. talking about education for sustainable development to different people from different parts of the world. Now, not just focusing on Kenya, but anyone who wants to learn with us. And so my platform usually holds 100 participants, of whom some are always locked out. Because of that, I usually share the recording of the learning sessions genuinely and generously to every wall of that I am in on WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, name it, because I want everyone to learn from what I have known or what I know. And so I bring on board champions, I bring on board experts from different regions, of different races, of different countries to come and facilitate learning with me. The miracles we witnessed were not just in a milestones achieved or accolades received. The true miracles lay in the stories of transformation, of lives uplifted from the depths of despair to the heights of hope. Each story a testament to the power of faith, perseverance, and the collective effort of a community united by a shared vision. Today, as I share my story with you, I do so not to seek glory or recognition, but to testify to the power of a shared dream and the undeniable evidence of what faith in God, coupled with action, can achieve. The Education for Sustainable Development movement in Kenya is a beacon of hope, shining brightly as a testament to what is possibly known as a miracle. What is possible when we dare to believe and work towards a better tomorrow. As leaders, we are called to be the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. Let us continue to shine brightly, illuminating the paths for others, inspiring change through our actions and our stories. Let us embrace our divine appointment, remembering that we too were born to achieve such a time as this. To each of you, my fellow miracle women and esteemed leaders, I extend my deepest gratitude and respect. May we continue to forge ahead, bound by our shared commitment to creating a world where education, sustainability, and transformation are within everyone's reach. For everyone experiencing rejection, as I did, and inadequacy, remember, God can turn you to be wherever you desire to be if you trust in Him. In closing, I am reminded of the words of Micah 6, verse 8. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. May this be our guiding principle as we continue our work, leaving a legacy of hope, change, and sustainability for generations to come. Thank you, and I'm really sorry for taking more than the time that was scheduled for me. God bless you. Thank you so much.